Hello there and welcome to the Card Grotto. Today I've got the absolute pleasure of guest designing for Sunny Studio, and I'm going to be using this adorable stamp set called Oceans of Joy. And as you can see, it's lots of lovely underwater critters. So I've got my mini MISTI here. I'm just adding a piece of white cardstock into that. I'm using the mini MISTI because I'm going to be stamping quite a lot of images, and I just thought it would save time stamping them all in one go. So usually when I make a card, I know what I'm going to be doing, and so before I start, I know exactly what design I'm going to be doing, what images, all the products, everything like that. Today I had no clue, so I thought I would just start off by stamping all of the images. Some of them that I stamp out I don't end up using because, like I said, I had no idea what I was going to be doing at this point. So I've just placed them all in the MISTI, closing the MISTI door. And then because these are new stamps, I'm going to season them slightly. So I've got an absorber cloth here and I've wetted it with some water. And I'm just running that over all of the stamps. Sometimes they have a little bit of residue from where they've been manufactured, so that just gets rid of any of that. And then I just tend to wipe my palm over them as well. And then the ink sticks really well. So I'm just inking those up with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. Just inking them up really well. And then I can stamp those down. And then I did decide that I wanted a couple more balloons, so I'm just stamping them and a few more bubbles, although actually I ended up not using the bubbles at all. So here I'm going to be doing some Copic colouring. I'm doing really basic Copic colouring, going from my darkest colour to my lightest colour, and I do have all of the colours listed on screen and then also over on my blog. I do apologise for the shift in colour during the colouring and actually throughout the whole video, but especially during the colouring. Obviously the lighting changed outside, so I do apologise for that. But I'm going to play some music and let you watch while I colour. I've got the coordinating dies here for the set, and I'm just taking them apart with some wire snips. So just cutting all of those little pieces of metal between the dies. And then I've just got some low tack tape here, and then I can place the die over the stamped image. And then I can run those through my die cutting machine. And then here I've got a piece of white cardstock again, and I'm using one of the MFT rectangle frame dies. And then I've got some vellum here. This is blue vellum and it comes from a Hero Arts My Monthly Hero kit. So I do apologise that it can no longer be bought, but I will try and find an alternative for you. But it's just a really nice pale blue vellum. And I'm using the Sunny Studio stitched scallop dies to create some waves for my sea. So I'm just doing 3 lengths of that, and I'm varying the height of those waves. Here I've got a piece of watercolour paper, and I have some Broken China Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just going to blend the ink onto the watercolour cardstock piece. I'm not being too precise where the colour is. I actually just want a little bit to overhang where the waves are going to be, just so that there's something in the sky really, or sort of an illusion of extra sea. So just blending that over. I wish that I could colour blend this quickly, but unfortunately this is sped up in the video. And then I'm going to take a distress sprayer here and just add quite a bit of water to this piece. And then I'm using a paper towel just to dab up some of the colour, and I want it sort of like a mottled effect. Once that piece was dry, I added it into my mini MISTI again, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So I've lined that up with a grid sheet, and then I'm just adding in a piece of acetate, because sometimes I like to make sure that my sentiment is completely straight. So I stamp it down onto some acetate first to make sure that it's completely straight, and then I can stamp it onto the final project. So again, just stamping that down with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. And here's that piece again, and I'm just running some adhesive along the bottom edge and then also the side pieces so that I can stick my vellum down. So just making sure where I want, how much adhesive I need to sort of go up the side pieces. And then I can just add all my layers on top. So I'm making sure that the adhesive won't be shown around that frame. So it's really good so I can hide it all behind that frame piece. So just sticking all of those down. And then I can just cut off the excess with some scissors. And then I've got all of my little pieces here, and I'm just going to place them where I think I want them to be. I'm not sticking anything down at this point, it's just so that it gives me an idea. And then I want to create some strings for the balloons, so I'm just marking where the edges of the balloons are and also where I want them to sort of be on the animal so that they're holding the balloons. And then I'm just going to pierce some holes with the pokey tool, and then I'm going to sew in some thread. And unfortunately the part where I was actually sewing got corrupted, but as you can see at the top there, I've just added some embroidery floss just between those holes. And here I've got that frame piece, and I've added some double-sided foam tape onto the back of that, and then I can place that over that panel, just making sure that it's lined up where I want it to be, and then I can press down. And then I can stick down all of my little critters and my balloons. So some of them I'm adding with double-sided tape or a tape runner, and then some of them I'm adding with foam tape just for some added dimension. So just sticking those down. And then for the turtle and also for the whale, I added foam tape at the top and then tape runner at the bottom, just again to give a little bit of added dimension. And I haven't stuck the whale down at this point because I wasn't 100% sure where I wanted it to be. I do stick it down, and then after the camera had finished filming, I decided that I wanted to add it a little bit lower, so I carefully managed to peel that up and just moved it slightly lower down. And then I've got a white gel pen there that I'm just adding in the whites of the eyes. And this is the back of my panel here. You can see that thread. I just stuck it down with a bit of Scotch tape. And then I'm using my ATG just to add quite a bit of adhesive onto the back of that. And I'm adding it onto an A2 top folding card base. So just pressing that down really well. And then I dented the frame a little bit there, so I'm just using some tweezers just to make sure that I get that dent out. And then I've got some glossy accents here, and I'm just adding that onto the purple balloon and also onto the green balloon, just to give a little bit of added shine. I really like glossy accents on balloons. So I've got a fine tip nozzle on my glossy accents, and I find it really helpful just to get into those smaller areas. And then I've just got a pokey tool here just to make sure that some of that glossy accents is on the bottom part of the balloon. And that's the card finished for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Links to all the products that I use will be in the description bar on YouTube and also on my blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.